Firstly, how are you, and how have things been since Torun, since the weekend?
It's pretty good. So basically, I'm back to training. Of course, starting with a couple of easy days, but all in all, I've got some time to look at my performance in Torun, and I'm pretty proud of what I did. But now our focus turns on Tokyo, of course, and now it's of course back to training and all about my next races.
Yeah, and do you give yourself the chance to enjoy the moment, or are you very quickly on to the next thing?
I'll say I'm pretty quick to move towards my next race, mentally and physically, of course. But I feel like it's more when crossing the finish line in each race. That's what I like the most, and I think that's the part of my competitions that I enjoy. So obviously, I want to race to win, and of course, getting my medal after is something I really enjoy. But at the same time, there's always things that we can improve on, and therefore we have to look forward and keep on working.
Yeah. So is the racing almost, the fun part? Is is all the hard work that goes into it? That obviously lays the platform, but is racing where you get the chance to express yourself?
Of course, some part of me think that the racing is the only fun part about this, but it's of course the hard part of training is the worst. Like easy runs and threshold is obviously most of our training, so that's I don't think that's too much fun. But when we do track sessions and with spikes and speed work, I enjoy some of that because it's similar to racing. But of course, I'm doing this to win races, and that's what I've been liked doing since I was really young.
Yeah. When did you know you were good? Has it been since you were very, very young that you sort of realized that I could be very good at this?
Yeah, it's more like when you're really young, you have to listen to what other people are saying. So my father and my brothers, and I, of course, as a young kid, you believe what you're told from your coaches and from everyone around you. But it's more when you start to run fast in a national or international level that you really understand that you can become a really good runner. But when I started running, like in preschool, I was always the fastest and always the best in sports running, because I was obviously training and playing with my older brothers. So I've always known that I was better than everyone else. But obviously that's going to start to, people are starting to train as much as I am. So when you become older, that's going to even out. But I was always winning races. I think my first loss was probably when I was 13, 14, when I raced with the seniors. And after a couple of years, I started winning those races as well. So losing it's not easy when you've never done it before. So I remember I lost a race when I was 15 or 14. I lost I came second in the under 20 championship in Norway.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was really tough, even though it was a junior national championship with the importance wasn't really high, but that was a bad loss for me, and I still remember every detail to this date. So it's not the important races, but losing in general is something that I hate.
Is it something that you find you're able to learn from? Because it doesn't happen very often for you.
I want to say that I don't learn anything from winning, but that's obviously not true. You obviously learn a lot by making mistakes and in different scenarios, especially in competitions. So if you come second or even worse, you're always going to be able to look at that race and see, okay, I have to be better in this and this, and then you can obviously go back to training and improve on those things, and of course you can become better. But I believe in what I'm doing and the type of training that it's going to improve my chances of becoming even better in the future. So if I lose races now, I believe it's more a long-term learning process more than what I can learn from those specific races. But I enjoy winning more.
Was it difficult after Doha? Because I remember how disappointed you were coming off the track there. Have you changed much since then, or as you say, is it still more of the long-term planning?
So I'm basically doing the same type of training that I've been doing my whole life, based on the same principles and philosophy. So it's more like I have to train more or get more mileage and become a faster runner. That's kind of the main problem. Looking back to Doha was, of course, I did some mistakes during the races, but at the same time, if I had been a couple seconds faster runner, I would have been able to do those same mistakes, but I would have probably gotten a medal.
Yeah, and how much have you noticed a difference physically? Because you obviously were still in the process of growing. Are you feeling stronger? Have you noticed a difference?
Yeah, of course. We rarely train very hard in each session, so we limit our speed to like 22, 23 kilometers per hour because of the there's takes a lot of energy to run faster than that. So we kind of limit our pace, and then we do just each session as we would probably do it, and then of course you will be stronger. But we don't. I don't push my speed in my session now compared to a couple of years ago, because I believe that I only need to do this training to get maximum out of my sessions. But of course, I always have increased a little bit in mileage and a little bit in pace. But it's more like getting each session and do the most out of each session. But of course, I feel each interval session is probably getting a little bit easier each day, or at least each month. So of course you feel stronger, and I'm really lucky to have Henrik and Philip also being at a really high level in training. So we can always compare each other with lactate levels and also our pace from different sessions. So but I think most important is obviously to do this week after week, and that's probably what I did after Doha. My main
because your training is not so much about being at the maximum all the time. It's you are at a sort of try and stay at a certain level and just build that level, I guess.
So but obviously when we get closer to our outdoor season and also our indoor races, we use a little bit of track sessions, but it's not that much variation in our training. It's more like our threshold sessions is the most important, of course, but for me it's all about just getting down with it, and obviously I have to prepare for each session and live to maximize my effort into each session. But it's more like being able to do my mileage each week, and then when the track sessions come, you need to be prepared and have a good fundamental.
Yeah, and based on your year so far, it's clearly working. You've had your European record as well as the as the two titles. Does, you know, how much confidence does that give you for this year?
Of course, it helps running faster and winning races. But I also, I'm a little proud, I can say, of what we're doing and the type of training and type of mentality, because I feel like my main goal is to be too fast for everybody else, so which means that I can basically do whatever I want and I will still win. So I don't want to use that much time in tactics and in all other stuff that's not important, because if you're, let's say, 5 seconds faster than the next guy in a final in the world championship,
yeah,
you can do whatever you want and you're still going to win. So that's like my main goal, is to be so fast that I can do whatever I want and still win.
Yeah.
And not focus on like tactics and what you have to do and everything. If you're that much faster, then you can basically do whatever you want. And that's pretty much how I did my races in Torun. I was never really putting like near maximum effort. I was always cruising and felt like I was doing threshold, but obviously it's a bit faster than threshold with spikes and adrenaline and the preparations. But in all, I was in the 1500 meter final. I was just increasing slightly my pace each lap, and then of course I never felt like I went all out, because I always needed to have some energy left to respond if anyone else came on my outside. And in the 3000, I felt like it was like going into the last corner. I had to do a little bit maximum, and then just everything else is just a lot of mileage and good threshold training.
Yeah. Does it feel in those situations like you're playing a different game from everybody else, that you're on a different level?
No, not at all. But it's, of course, when I know that I'm as fast as I am, and I feel so strong in training and track sessions, and obviously my race in France, you feel really confident. So it's more like I have to stay out of trouble. That's never that easy, but it's more like if I'm able to run like how I want, I'm probably going to win, or at least have a good chance of getting first over the finish line. And that's really helpful, you can say, going into championships and any other races.
How does that sort of transfer itself then when you have an opponent such as Timothy Cheruiyot, who you've obviously had great duels with so far, but with the Olympics coming up, a big year coming up, you know, how does that change then when you go up onto the world level, the global level?
I think it's pretty much the same, but obviously you need to be way faster than I am now to be able to do the same things in the Olympics and the Worlds. But that's my goal. It's to be that fast that I can do basically the same things in those championships. But that's probably still a couple of years left of hard work. But I believe that if I'm smarter in those races, I believe that I'm capable of beating Cheruiyot if we're the same physical level.
Yeah.
So that's probably when I'm have to start thinking about tactics and everything, because if we're probably in that level, we're gonna have some equal opponents. But that's also if I'm part of racing, of course. It's if I'm always going to be better than everyone else and just running from the front, it's not that exciting, but it's a good chance of winning.
Yeah. I was going to say, how much does that challenge excite you? Is I guess that's what's motivating, a huge motivating factor for you.
Yeah, but I think what Edgar Rouge did is similar to what I'm thinking or preparing myself for the future. He was pretty much faster than everyone else, so he started winning from the front, and then when he did that and he already had done it in previous championships, he started doing other things and kind of testing other like tactics out, staying behind and then going the last 800. So I feel like first goal is probably to be as good as you can, just run from the front and then win everything. But when you've done that, it's probably to look for other challenges and other ways to win.
Yeah. How are you at dealing with expectations? Because whenever you race now, people are expecting a lot of you. Are you good at blocking that out, or is it something that you tend to welcome?
Of course, expectations are always a good thing, but I usually don't read comments or anything that any other people are expecting or saying, because I know that I'm going to be really disappointed if I'm not winning. Even if I'm a worse runner than my competitors, I will still aim for finishing first. And then obviously I will get disappointed the first races and first couple of years. But then that's like my mentality going into races, that I'm always going to win, even if I'm worse. So it's still, I'd say I have, or the expectations that I put on myself are always going to be a little bit better than, or harder to fulfill than everybody else's.
Yeah. And what's life like in Norway for you now? You guys are famous, very famous people there. Can you live life normally at the moment, or?
Of course, we have the national TV show that doesn't exactly help our case, or it makes us famous or known in the the country. But at the same time, I never wanted to be famous. That's probably a weird thing to say, but I just wanted to win, and of course, I want to win the Olympics and the races on the big stage. And of course, if you do that, you're going to be famous and known for doing those things. But I want a normal life with my family in the end, and I believe that's going to be a tough task after all this.
Do you guys get stopped when you're out training, or do you notice the attention more?
Yeah, of course. I've been. It's more like you deal with. You don't want anybody to look your way, whatever you do. That's probably the case nowadays. Everybody knows us, especially in Norway. So we can't do anything without people looking at us. So sometimes that's tough. You would just want to do your own thing and go buy your groceries without people staring, but that's not the case.
Is that easy?
So of course I'm gonna stay as much as possible in my apartment.
So where are you based? Are you still in Sandnes?
Yes.
And the family are all still close by?
Yeah, Philip's moved to the East Coast, to Oslo.
Right.
But the rest of us is still on the West Coast. So it's but it's really nice. There's people are they're usually helping us, cheering for us and want what's best for us. But and at the same time, there's really nice opportunities for training in Sandnes with the trails and the stadium and indoor stadium as well. So it's really nothing to complain about for me to train or do this at this level. It's probably one of the best places in the world, I believe, for other than altitude training. Yeah. We have everything that we need here.
Yeah, and in terms of COVID, Norway dealt with it very well, didn't it? How badly were you affected by it?
So I think there's some on and off regulations and so we don't really know. They start to open up things, and then they see that the numbers get worse, and then they start to close it again. So it's been like that for yeah, almost a year now. So it's for everyone, it's pretty tough going back and forth from being home to do whatever they want and then being home. So, but it's at least on the West Coast, it's almost nothing COVID-19. So it's for us, it's pretty normal. But of course, we have to. Yeah, everybody, I guess, need to have it in their mind to not go crazy. But for us in our family, we usually stayed isolated before COVID and always cared for getting sick and everything.
Yeah, and well, obviously this year, all being well, this would be your first taste of the Olympics. How much are you looking forward to just experiencing the Olympics for the first time, and are you your younger self, I guess, how much would your younger self have you surprised yourself with how far you've got so quickly?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But when I was 15, 16, I was already at a really high level. So I've probably gotten a little bit better each year. And obviously, if I continue getting better each year and improve, you will eventually get at a pretty high level in my early 20s. That's where I'm heading now, and I don't know, it's for a guy that's always used to winning and to doing well. I'm not surprised in how I'm running, but of course I wasn't expecting to run 3:28 in my career at all. But when you do 3:30, your next goal is always to go faster. So I wasn't expecting to go 3:28. I can't tell you that, but I'm really happy with that, of course. And if you always look for improvement, you're most likely gonna get it in the end if you do things right. And I believe that's where we've done the right way.
Yeah, well, I think it's a sign of, the approach that you've taken has been a gradual improvement. As you say, year on year, there has been a steady climb rather than a sudden just leap forward.
Yeah.
And that seems to be the right way to do things.
Yeah, of course, because I've always trained or done a lot of mileage as a young kid, but I've always increased each year. And we've kind of done that because we looked at my races, because I also raced a lot. So I would say that I did the maximum mileage that I was capable of handling physically, and at the same time running as fast as I could in races. So my mileage wasn't bigger than what I could do in races when I was 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I've just increased. And of course, I've gotten some injuries in my way of running a lot of miles and for getting my body to handle all the mileage. But at the same time, I think our father is really, for him, it's important to write everything down. So we know what I've done the last 10 years. And from that, you can start to increase little by little. And as long as you stay healthy and everything, and also race fast in your races, you know that you're not training too much, but probably enough to have a good thing when you're getting older.
Yeah. Do you have more of an input towards training now? Has that relationship with your father changed at all?
It's all something that we do together. It's obviously he our father Henrik and Philip is the guys kind of trying the different things out. But high mileage and a lot of threshold has always been our philosophy. But now when we're starting to do a lot of championships, or we've done it for many years now, but he's never been a professional athlete. So he doesn't know really about the competitions and how you feel and your how you feel mentally and physically going into races. So that's probably his weakest side, because he's never been there himself, and that's probably our main arguments to this date. Because when we get close to races, he wants to keep the mileage high, but me and Henrik and Philip, we want to get down on a mileage, and because we know that we're going to feel better going into the days before with low mileage and easy workouts going into the races. But he's really afraid of training too little and too little mileage.
So who wins those arguments?
Usually we find I think we will never run as little mileage as our competitors, but for us going down from what we're doing initially, it helps a lot getting to feel easier and to feel a bit faster than in mileage weeks.
Yeah. And are you guys good at, so once training's finished, just leaving it there, or do discussions and things tend to carry on into the wider family, or are you able to separate athletics from family?
It's all about running is basically my whole life, so it's really nothing to it's more like when I get home and meet my girlfriend, it's more like, okay, now we're doing something else, but we've been doing this for so many years now, so it's not that much arguments anymore. It's more like if things doesn't go as planned in training, that's when the argument starts. So if Henrik or Philip or any of us is injured and there's a lot of uncertainty, and our father's really nervous, so that's when the argument starts, if anyone's not too sure about their health, or if there's any trouble. That's when things start to go sideways. But if you're healthy and fast and train good, then it's no issues.
Yeah. And what do you like to do away from the track, away from athletics? Do you have any other hobbies, any other sports you follow?
Yeah, we're really enjoy motorsports in our family, or at least cars and motorcycles in general. But for us, or for me at least, I can't do that much other than training and preparing for races, because it's too demanding.
Yeah.
So if I were to study something or do anything else, I wouldn't be able to do it, because I need to relax, and even if I wanted to, I'm not able to do anything else. And if someone is able to do something else, then they're not trying their best to be as fast as they can.
Yeah. Who would do you have any sporting heroes yourself? You mentioned El Garouge there, but are there any other sports people that you admire or who have inspired you?
I don't have any heroes, but I enjoy good performances, and doesn't matter which sport it is. Of course, we enjoy all sort of sport, and for me, Henrik and Philip has always been my main source of inspiration. And of course, when I was younger, they were my heroes. But as you become better and faster, there's more like the performance. You know what it takes to do those things, and that's a lot of hard work behind. But at the same time, if you want to win, you need to consider yourself the best, and that's it's hard to have heroes if you want to be better than everyone else.
Well, how does that then feel to you that you yourself will be someone else's hero? Obviously, you're getting a lot of attention. You will be, there might be young runners out there who want to follow your example. How much does that excite you as well?
I'm really happy for everyone following us and cheering for me and for us. But at the same time, as an athlete, you need to put yourself in respect. And you can't, if you want to really be the best and not only a supporter or an audience, you can't run around taking pictures with people. So that's just my mentality. Of course, there's a lot of footballers and athletes in general that's had a lot of heroes and can look back at photos with them, and now they're playing against each other or racing each other. But that was never my mentality. My mentality was always, okay, you're a good athlete and you do big things, but I want to beat you. And when I was younger, that was obviously Usain Bolt and Mo Farah. But now I'm starting to beat Mo Farah's times. And for me, he's always been a competitor and a rival other than a hero. But of course, good performances is always inspiring.
Yeah. Are there any so do you enjoy music? Do you enjoy reading any particular books or music that inspire you or that help you relax?
There's a lot of movies and series outside of training, but music is obviously a big part of my training and our whole family. Especially for me, it helps me to kind of think about something else during especially easy runs, because it's all about getting done with our mileage. It's not about enjoying every step or anything like that. It's just, music helps me think about something else, and then all of a sudden I'm back home. That's a bonus for me.
Yeah. Anyone in particular you like to listen to?
No, it's more like I listen to most genres and artists, but I have to separate the training music from my private music, because if I do a tough threshold session and one of my favorite music comes on and I'm really tired, then that song is ruined. So because now if you listen to it after, you think about the hard sessions, and that's I don't want to do that while I'm sleeping.
Well, and to go back to the track, you've obviously as you say, you've raced so much. Is there and achieved so much already? Is there one race in particular that you're proudest of, or which is the sort of race where you've thought, yeah, good job?
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's if I'm winning, and probably the races that I've won with the biggest gap is probably my favorite races. Races that I've barely been first, it's more, when I look back at them, it's more like I could have won with more. But especially in championships, you always need to save something for the last step. So the gap down to second place decreases if you're always saving energy, like I did in Turin. I say I'm really happy with my performance, but I know that if I've taken a bigger risk, I could have won with more.
Yeah.
But it's not always about winning with the biggest gap. Is sometimes just about winning.
Yeah, I guess everything you've said there sort of describes you're always thinking about the bigger picture, sort of perhaps the longer term, as much as what's happening in that moment.
No, not exactly. It's more like for me, each race is in the moment. That's the most important thing I'd say my life, but that's at least where all my energy and capacity goes to.
Yeah.
And even if it's my season opener or just a random race, I'm almost always as nervous as I am in championships or in other more important races, because that's my main focus, and always will be when I'm there racing.
Yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, I know, of course, what's important to me. It's also, of course, long-term goals, which are the most important part of my training. So if there's a local race, I'll take that really seriously. But at the same time, I know that Tokyo is more important. So
yeah,
it's always always a challenge, you can say.
Yeah. Are you someone who's good at channeling nerves in the right direction? You use that nervous energy?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. And well,
of course, if there's a lot at stake, you're obviously going to get more nervous than if it's just a random race. But I usually get really nervous, not only because of my expectations. It's also about the pain with the racing. I don't enjoy being in pain, so that's a lot of the things that I'm nervous about. Is of course my result, and also being in pain in races.
Yeah, is it possible to describe what it's like in the middle of a tough 1500, for example? Is it possible to describe how that situation develops?
It's difficult to describe, but it's before the race. 1500 is probably the most exhausting race, or painful at least, because you're going out in such a high speed, and then after 500 meters you're really hitting a wall. But then when you continue, you don't slow down, you just start to run faster and faster, or at least that's my experience. But it's when you go to if you're really well prepared and you do what you need to do going into that race, it's going to end up pretty good, and you're not going to feel that much pain after all. But even though when I'm going into my next race, I get really nervous because of the pain. So it's sort of even though I've done it many times before, I'm nervous for the pain, at least in the 1500, and then I know that I'm well prepared. So when I get into the race, it's not that much pain, but because you're focusing on everything else, and adrenaline, and you're nervous and all sort of. But then next race, you're also nervous for the pain. So it's But I think that's my way of preparing myself physically and mentally for each race, is to be nervous for the pain that's coming, and also being awake and focused on the task, so I can run as fast as possible.
Does it ever get easier to break through that wall that you're saying, that wall of pain?
No, because I've raced really fast in the past, and I've done well, and I've raced a lot of races, but it's still the same. So it's more like my routine for preparation into each race. Yeah.
Well, and just finally, what's your schedule like leading into Tokyo? Will you do some of the Diamond Leagues if you can, if it's possible?
Yeah, I'm of course aiming to run faster than I've done in the past. So if there's an opportunity to run a fast race, I will try to be one of the starters. So I think it's going to be really similar to my other seasons, trying to race as much as possible. But hopefully there's a big championship that everything leads up to in late July and beginning of August. I think that's that kind of setup and season fits me pretty good. It's really nice to have short-term goals during the season that all leads up to a big championship in the end of the season.
Yeah. And will you look at the 15 and the 5, or is it mainly the 15 you're looking at?
Mainly the 15, but I know that I'm strong in the 5K as well. So if it's possible to do more than just the 15, and at the same time, not ruin my chances in the 15, I'm probably gonna do more. But I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Of course, I want to win as much as possible at the same time, but
yeah.